we turn to the 2020 race for Miami-Dade County Commission, District 1. Miami Gardens Mayor Oliver Gilbert was the early favorite to win, but this week he picked up an opponent, Sybrina Fulton. Fulton rose to national prominence after her 17-year-old son, Trayvon Martin, was shot and killed in Central Florida. The shooting touched off a national debate over racial profiling. After making her formal announcement earlier this week, Fulton sat down with me to discuss why she is running. Sybrina, thank you very much for coming in. So why are you running for office?
I'm running for office because I want to see change in my community. I've been looking at a position for the last year, and it wasn't until recently when I spoke that I realized that it was time for me to step up to the plate. I spoke at Reverend Sharpton's National Action Network, and I also spoke at a school, a college in Pittsburgh. And the last two times I said that to be an activist, you have to act. You have to sign petitions. You have to write letters, you have to rally, and sometimes you have to run for office. And the last two times I said it, I really was talking to myself, and my heart started fluttering, and I just started thinking of things that I could do to change my community.
So why the county commission? What specifically about the role of county commissioner do you want to play?
One of the things that I think is important and will give me leverage is the current Miami-Dade County Commissioner that's there now, Barbara Jordan. She came from Miami-Dade County. She was an employee of Miami-Dade County, and she probably saw some things on the inside that compelled her to want to run for office to make change. And I feel the same way. I have 24 years with Miami-Dade County in different departments. I started off with GSA. I went on to solid waste, and I went on to the airport. I did a little work in transit, and lastly, I worked in the housing agency. So I have years of experience in Miami-Dade County as an employee, and so I just felt that this was my next level of government. I didn't see myself in a state seat. I didn't see myself anywhere else. I saw myself putting myself back into the county.
So give me your assessment. Is Miami-Dade County being run well?
Well, there are some things that are going right with Miami-Dade County, and there are some things that can be improved. One of the main things that I want to focus on is crime. And I have spoken to a lot of people, and one of the things that they say is they don't feel safe in their community. They don't feel safe going to the store, the gas station. They don't feel safe going to the ATM machine. And I feel that same way. And I feel like I can definitely make change in those areas of crime and crime prevention. I definitely want to work with law enforcement so that we can bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. And I think it's some areas that I see that I definitely want to work on, and I definitely want to try to make change.
You believe that this is something that Trayvon would want you to do?
Absolutely. When I made my announcement on Monday, I had my oldest son, Sybrina Fulton. He was here, and I had him standing next to me. That's my right-hand man, and he's very, very proud of me. And so I believe that Trayvon would have been proud of me as well.
So let me ask you the hardest, probably the rudest question, so I'll even apologize in advance. Does basically rising up in prominence because your son was shot and killed qualify you to be a county commissioner?
No, that does not qualify me to be a county commissioner, but I can tell you what does. My 24 years in county service, I have leverage. I know what the county employees go through because I was one of those people for 24 years, and that's not, just a short period of time. That's a long period of time to be with one company, one organization for 24 years. So I did my time in county service as an employee. Now I want to do my time in county service as a servant, as a politician, because I think that working from the inside out, that was one thing. Now I want to work for the residents. I want to work for the citizens. I want to show that I have leadership skills. I have experience. I may not have experience as a politician because I'm not a career politician, and that may be what the residents need. They need fresh new ideas. They need fresh new vision. They need change, and a lot of people see the same thing happening in their community day in and day out. I don't want to turn on the TV, and every single time I turn on the TV, and I watch your station sometimes, and you report it, so you know firsthand what we go through in that particular community. And I just want to make sure that people are living in a safe and decent environment. And right now we're not. We're scared. We you know, of course they have all kind of developments going on. They have all kind of nice and pretty things that they're bringing to the area. But who's going to go to those events if you feel like you can't go to the gas station, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't go to the ATM because you're afraid to be robbed, to be shot and be killed?
So what do you want to do? So how do we tackle that issue? Is it more funding, more police? What are the new ideas that you say you want to bring to play here? Give me an idea of what some of those ideas are.
A few of those ideas, but not limited to. I need to talk to the community. That's what I'm going to do, a series of town hall meetings. I'm going to meet with the residents, and I'm going to know firsthand what issues that they have. I know what issues the people that I have been talking to have, but I want to see what issues the residents have, and not just African American residents. I also want to know what the Hispanic residents and also the Haitian residents, not just one particular group. I want to know what the elderly concerns are, what the youth concerns are, what people that are unemployed, what their concerns are, and people who are employed. I need to know those things. But one of the things I can definitely do is I need to talk to the police department, and I need to talk to the community, because there's a gap right there. When I was growing up, I just saw law enforcement as being somebody to help, to protect and serve. Right now, a lot of people don't see that, and we have to change that vision. We have to change that narrative. And I believe if we can understand what they're supposed to be doing and they understand us as individuals, I think it'll work more smoothly. But in addition to that, we have a lot of issue with gang violence. We have a lot of issues with mental illness. We have a lot of issue with retaliation. Those things, and we have a lot of issue with unemployment. And any one of those four things could be the reason why we have so much gun violence. But we have to, we need it to stop. Enough is enough. We can't continue to live like this. We don't know when the next time this is going to happen. I cried this morning for a 17-year-old that was shot and killed on yesterday. I could not believe what the parents are going to have to endure. I know it too well. It's too familiar to me. And I don't want parents to have to bury their children. We shouldn't be burying our children. Our children should be burying us, and I want to make sure that happens.
Your family, you've lived in Miami Gardens area for how long? For
50 plus years.
50 plus years. Mm-hmm. So Miami Gardens is your home. Have you voted for the current mayor, who you'll be now running against? Oliver Gilbert is the current mayor of Miami Gardens. He's also announced to run for this seat. When he came up for election in the past, have you voted for him?
I don't remember who I voted for, and I'm just going to leave it like that. But yes,
well, let me rephrase it this way then. Has he been a good mayor in your opinion?
I don't want to answer that.
Okay.
Okay. But I will answer the fact that I am from the community. I mean, I was born and raised in the community. My great-grandmother lived in the community. My grandmother, my mother currently lives there in the area. I have several family members that live in the area. I live in the area. I went to school from elementary, middle school, high school, and also college. I graduated from Florida Memorial University. So I'm very familiar with the dynamics of the area, and so I will say that.
So let me ask you this. You've been in county government, or have been in county government for a long time. Give me an idea of some previous county commissioners that you look at and you say, I'd like to be like that commissioner.
Definitely Barbara Jordan, who holds this seat right now. Audrey Edmondson, who's also there.
Housing, I know, is an important issue for you. Talk to me about the current state of housing in Miami-Dade County and what you'd like to do different with it.
One of the things that I want to do differently is I want to make the residents of the housing agency understand that subsidy should be on a temporary basis. It should not be something that you make a lifetime. And we need to show them ways that they can get off subsidy, they can get off public housing, they can get off Section 8 and sustain themselves, because that's the part that's scary. They figure that if I get a job, then I'm not going to be able to support my family. But we need to help them in areas, maybe they need their own business, maybe they need full-time full-time employment and not just a job. You know, a job doesn't always help you take care of your family, but a good job that's paying a decent amount of money so that you can support your family. And I think with the so many people living here in Miami-Dade County, another thing they should do is build additional housing so that people have affordable housing, and when you do have a job, you do have a place to stay that's affordable.
This is a new role for you. You've been a public speaker for a long time. You've used the tragedy that took place with your family and tried to help others with it. But now, you know, the attention and the focus is going to be on you over these next 15 months until the election in August of 2020. It's different. It's different being on this side of things, isn't it?
It's absolutely different. It's a lot more stressful. But I think for me, I'm speaking for the people. I think I'm a people's politician. I think the things that I have in mind and the things that I want to do, I want them to line up with the residents of Miami-Dade County District 1. And so I'm going to make sure that happens. And like I said, I'm going to do that through a series of town hall meetings to make sure that I'm speaking and I'm the voice for the residents. Not only am I going to knock on doors, but I'm going to talk to the residents. I really need to know what the problem is. We are all saying enough is enough, but it's time for change.
Sybrina Fulton, I'm going to love to have you back on, and many times between now and election. Any chance I could convince you to come in and debate Oliver Gilbert at some point?
We'll talk about that, of course.
All right. Sybrina Fulton, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. And as I said, we look forward to having her opponent, Mayor Oliver Gilbert, in for an interview soon.